this lecture, we're going to play a little bit more on copy and rotate and see what other options do we have besides what we have already learned. Go to homework folder and open 3-04 copy rotate. So there already something in there. As you can see, those are different shapes that copied and then matched together as a pattern, and this is a rotate, and also it's a pattern. In the center I have a few lines, however you won't be able to select most of them because they are locked. So let's go to hide and unhide, visibility and unlock. Yeah, so I will remove this. I will do another one. So first we draw a line. We draw it according to the center. You can zoom in and snap to grid. So we probably want to remove some of the snapping. So let's go to snap instead of O snap. And this will allow us to snap to the grades. If you zoom in, you can see that that's where we're snapping to. We can snap to grade, and then if I want to draw only horizontally, I press on Shift, I click at anywhere. Another option is, let's say if we don't use snap, which we don't normally use, and we could also draw a line, select a line, and then start off polyline, we could type in 0. Yeah, that will snap to the 0 point, which is the center of your grades. And then press on Shift and just finish a line. With this line, we could rotate. So what I have another option is called the polar array, which is under transform, polar array, and select the object for array, select, press enter, select the center, which is one of the end, and at this moment we can type in the numbers that we want to do polar array with. I can probably type in 10 and then press enter. And if you check, you will see by default that's 360 degrees, which is a whole circle. So we will use that and press enter. So we did a polar array of 10. So let's create some kind of a shape. If I want to use the middle point, sometimes you need to draw a line so that you will be able to snap to the middle point, and check our O snap selection. The middle point is not selected at this point, so we need to check on mid. Maybe we remove the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some kind of a line which looks like a straight line. This is not, the second one is, so click on control point and select the middle point, go to your front view and drag it up a little bit. So now we end up with something like this, three-dimensional. So you could certainly create a lot of more interesting shape, for example this one. And let's start with this one. We're going to create a surface. So the tool that we're going to use is second one, surface from edge curves. Select and select this curve. Actually, we're selecting the wrong curve. This one is a straight curve. Yeah, that's the curved one. Select. Redo it. Since there is a straight one, so maybe I either hide or lock it so that that one is not disturbing our selection, so I lock it. Okay, select on the two-bar surface and select 1, 2, 3 different curve. Press enter. So now we have some kind of a three-dimensional surface. That's looking like this, yeah. And then we're going to do another polar array. Go to transform two-bar, select on polar array, select on the center, and the number is 10 again. And press enter. And by default 360-degree enter. So yeah, in this case we did some kind of a rotation and a copy of the same shape. Anyway, I think I will stop here because I think there are other options that you might be able to try and to come up with interesting shape, which if we look at this shape, it's constructed with 4 lines. So let's do another sort of maybe a random shape and see how we're doing with a random shape. Certainly we can do the same thing and dragging the points and probably do a polar array of something and just play with it. So select all 3 curves and use the surface from curve again, and we end up with something like this. Yeah, we could do another polar array and items. In this case, certainly if we do 10 items, there will be a lot of intersection between the form, but let's do it anyway. Yeah, so this creates some kind of interesting and sometimes can be elaborated shape by doing polar array. The next one, I'm going to demonstrate a shape such as this. Many of the pattern can be used, for example, a design of the ceiling. So I would have to sort of control my individual shape so that they can duplicate and the edge will perfectly meeting each other. So in this case, I'm just going to do some kind of square shape, which I use the rectangular tool. If I want to do a square, I could type in at, and I could give a dimension maybe 200. In this case, if you look at this, it's asking for other corner. When you type in at, it will give you relative point, which goes 200 by 200 from the point that you created. Okay, so the 200 by 200 is actually quite big. So let's just use this anyway. And if we look at the control point, there's only 4 of them. We can certainly drag and make one of the point a little bit higher up, something like this. If we look at the shape, yeah, the shape is again a 3-dimensional shape. So then in this case, we could probably mirror image and use mirror image and maybe select both of them and do a mirror image again, and maybe select all of them and do a mirror image again. So in this case, we just created a quite elaborated form. Okay, so that is copy and rotate.